Okay, so our next panelist, also please welcome with applause Mr. Victor Hohots, founder of Avista Professional. Our next panelist, Mr. Ibrahima Kalil Toure, founder of Imminvest Canada. Please welcome Mr. Toure. Also, I would like to welcome Mr. Prashant Ajmera, the founder of Prashant Ajmera and Associates. Please welcome Mr. Prashant.
Thank you for coming back. Today we would like to actually discuss the Canada immigration options to Canada, and it's actually worth mentioning that Canada was always one of the most popular migration destinations in the world. Between 2011 and 2016, Canada had welcomed 1.2 million migrants according to UN figures, which of course includes economic migrants as well. And an interesting figure to know as well about migration to Canada, that 21.9% of total population are actual migrants. So the focus of our panel today is to discover what are the possibilities to migrate to Canada by making a financial contribution. With that in mind, I'm happy to once again introduce our panelists, Victor, founder of Avista Professional, Ibrahim, founder of Imminvest Canada, and Prashant, founder of Prashant Ajmera and Associates. And my first question to you, gents, would be that Canada offers only 2 immigrant investor programs, Startup and Quebec. So if an entrepreneur must choose between 2, what factors need to be considered?
I'm not sure if, okay, it works. Those are 2 programs that have a set of requirements that would fit different people with different backgrounds. For Quebec investor program, one of the most attractive and significant eligibility features is that the client does not have English language requirements. So for people who do not speak the language at all, would be able still to qualify for that program with having 2 years of managerial experience. They would still be able to go through Quebec investor program and obtain permanent resident status for themselves, including their family members, dependent family members. With respect to the startup program is one of those progressive and very new programs that Canada has implemented that tries to encourage people with the mind that attracts new technologies to Canada. New technologies mean new economy. New economy means new jobs, new business environment that creates more business opportunities within Canada and for Canadians who already live in the country. Just to the bottom line, and the answer to the question is that for people who have the idea, who have business, who would qualify for startup program, this is a perfect choice because it does not require the net worth, it does not require the managerial experience. Startup program only requires the IELTS 5 English language test. It requires 1 year of postgraduate studies. It could be a dropout from the university at the end of the day. And no experience is required. Clean medical, clean criminal checks. That is all that is required. So basically the requirements are very, very basic. And what makes these 2 programs really well positioned to attract people from across the globe who can come to Canada and having qualified for either of those 2 programs. So again, for every client with the different sets of qualifications, either program could be a better fit.
Thank you, Victor. In fact, before we actually move forward, perhaps you can give a bit of introduction about your firm, so I mean people in the audience would know
Certainly.
what exactly is your background. We'll do the same, obviously, with the other speakers.
Certainly. The firm has its headquarters in Toronto. It started in Toronto. It's been on the market over 15 years. We have been taking the direction and concentrating mostly on the investment-based programs, even though our firm services clients in various programs, including student visas, including family sponsorships, including other available immigration programs out there that are applicable to our clients who want to come to Canada. We have currently expanded tremendously and have set up foreign offices which has accommodated and increased our ability to service our clients globally. And we are looking forward to expanding even further and using our skills and ability to develop the background for the clients to come and receive the ultimate result that they come for, ability to come to Canada and make the Canada their new home.
Thank you for that. Prashant,
yes,
perhaps you can actually answer the same question and possibly introduce your firm as well, because
sure.
as far as I know, you have quite an extensive experience in India, in Canada and US.
Good afternoon, friends. My name is Prashant Ajmera. I'm an Indian lawyer, a Canadian citizen, and involved with the Canadian immigrations, started with the Canadian immigrations, and since last 25 years, I've been involved. Lately, our concentration is into the residency and citizenship. Just to give you an introduction about our firm, I'd like you to play the video, please.
Are you seeking a better life for yourself and your family, and an amazing chance of globally expanding your business? If your answer to these questions is yes, look no further. Law Office of Prashant Ajmera and Associates can turn your dreams into reality. Mr. Ajmera's experience in this highly complex field, combined with his exceptional talent, provides his clients with optimum strategies and solutions for their toughest immigration problems. He helps his clients effectively navigate the complex terrain of migration laws of various countries. With his profound knowledge and 25 years of experience in corporate and migration law, as well as international trade. After completing his studies, Mr. Ajmera began his career as a lawyer at the High Court of Gujarat. The next year, his journey took him to Canada, where he was invited to join a Canadian law firm specializing in residency and citizenship for professionals and businesses. And he conducted the very first EB-5 investment program seminar in Mumbai in the year 1999. It didn't take him long to start his independent practice in Canada in the year 2001. Additionally, he established associations with law firms in more than 30 countries around the globe, ensuring a global presence for his law firm. Today, he helps high net worth individual and successful businessmen through every step of the way, right from selecting the appropriate program, provide pros and cons of each program, elucidating their source of funds to presenting the necessary documents to ensure success.
Your goal may be children's education, children's future, expansion of your business, obtaining the NRI status, or tax planning, visa-free travel, whatever it may be. I will provide you several options to you according to your needs and according to your facts and circumstances. Thank you, guys.
Quite an extensive video, I would imagine.
Short answer.
Yes, your question was regarding the startup visa and the investment program of the Quebec. The startup visa terminology used is a startup, but actually it is for somebody who has an innovative idea. It was introduced in April 2013. The program has become quite popular in countries where there is an IT industries and technology industry is there. investment program of Quebec has remained most popular program because I would say that Canada has remained the grandfather of all the investment program because all the programs of the world has been developed based on the Canadian and Quebec model. That being said, both the programs are very popular, but also at the same time, as the threshold for the investment program of Quebec has gone very up, $2 million in a net assets and investment of 1.2 million, the businessman should not forget that every province in Canada has a business program or an entrepreneur program available, where the threshold and requirement is very less. And people should look at it, or the businessmen should look at it. Those who are interested in running and managing a business in Canada should look at that option as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. Shall we move on to our third speaker, Ibrahim? Ibrahim, the question remains the same, of course, but before you answer the question, perhaps you can give us a bit of an overview, because this is going to be interesting as well.
Alors, merci. Moi, c'est Ibrahima Kalil. Je suis consultant réglementé en immigration canadienne.
Thank you. My name is Kalil Touré. I'm a consultant immigrant I'm a consultant in immigration, and my firm is called Imminvest Canada.
Je suis diplômé en droit de l'Université de Kiev en Ukraine.
Graduated in law. And I did my studies in
Et j'ai une
Ukraine.
formation complémentaire en droit à l'Université du Québec à Montréal, en droit canadien et en droit québécois.
I also did my studies in law at Quebec University.
Alors, j'ai travaillé au cabinet d'avocats Postelnik et Associés à Montréal.
I worked for a law cabinet in Montreal.
Et après, j'ai fondé Imminvest Canada en 2002.
Then I founded Imminvest Canada in 2002.
Donc, nous nous occupons des visas d'affaires,
We take care of business visa.
Le programme d'immigration d'affaires du Québec,
Quebec
et aussi
Touré,
le visa pour démarrage d'entreprise.
Tu peux répéter la deuxième?
Vous dites? J'ai dit le visa pour démarrage d'entreprise au niveau du Canada. Québec pour les visas d'affaires, pour l'investissement, les entrepreneurs au niveau du Québec.
I take care of entrepreneurial visa for Quebec and even for investments in Quebec.
Et nous nous occupons aussi des travailleurs qualifiés, c'est-à-dire les personnes qui ont des diplômes et qui veulent s'établir au Québec ou dans le reste du Canada comme des travailleurs qualifiés.
And those who want to come in Quebec as qualified workers.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you. We actually covered the first question, which is crucial, of course, and now we have even a more important question to a certain extent. And as we all know, the demand for Canada is high, and the quota for the Quebec program, Quebec Immigrant Investor Program, is filled within a very, very short time frame. So, gents, can the Canada Startup Visa Program be viewed as a full value alternative to the program offered by the Quebec? Victor, perhaps you will be the first one to address that, please.
Dennis, could you please repeat the question?
Excuse me?
I had a hard time hearing the question. Sorry about that.
The quota for Quebec Immigrant Investor Program is filled within a very short time.
Yeah.
Can the startup visa be considered as a full value alternative to the program offered by the Quebec?
Thank you very much, Dennis. Well, yes. As my well-respected colleague Prashant already mentioned, Quebec program has been out there for the longest time ever. It's one of the oldest, probably if not the oldest, investor-based program out there. People know this program. It's established. So the first thing that they come to think of Canada, and those who would like to come through the investment-based program, they think of the Quebec Investor Program. There used to be the Federal Investor Program, but the Federal Investment Program was canceled a few years ago. However, Quebec remains to be working today. Now, can startup program be the substitute? Well, to tell you frankly, again, considering that there are different requirements, there are different approaches that should be taken when you assess the client's eligibility for the program, either through the Quebec Investor Program or through the startup program. It cannot be the substitute for people who wanted to go through Quebec program because they wouldn't be able to comply with the language requirements, or they don't have any nomade idea that they could bring to Canada. So two programs have different sets of requirements and factors that should be taken into account. And that has been mentioned by my colleague. There are several other entrepreneur and investor programs that are available through the provincial immigration programs offered by separate provinces and particular provinces in Canada. Those programs can also be looked at and considered in a case where the person cannot comply with the new requirements of $2 million, which is really steep requirement. Maybe not for people who buy citizenship in Cyprus for $2 million, but still a significant amount of money. But at the same time, there are other venues that can be considered. Can it be a full substitute? No, it cannot.
Thank you. Prashant, what would be your opinion on that? Can it actually substitute one or not?
I will say yes and no. It can be a substitute. Sorry to differ with you. My first case, we did it with the startup program, was actually the businessman. He was in IT industries, was very wealthy. He visited Canada and America, met several lawyers, and then he got the reference of our law firm, and he came to meet me in Ahmedabad, where our office is, and he was also locally. He was an IT millionaire, made his money, and he says, should I do the investment program of Canada or should I do the EB5? And I said, not either of the one. You should go for a startup program. And when I explained to him that what this startup program is, he was very excited. We made a presentations to the Toronto the designated authorities, or like Toronto incubation centers, and within the 6 months he was accepted, and within 1 year he had an immigrant visa as well. So if you are wealthy persons and you have IT companies or innovation companies, and in that area, if you think that you have some kind of a new ideas, which you think that there is a market for your product or for your service in North America, then rather than using the investment program of Quebec or an EB5, go for a startup program. You will be much more successful in doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Prashant. This is actually quite extensive opinion, in fact. Perhaps we can move on to Ibrahim. What do you think if actually a startup visa can be an alternative when it comes to Quebec?
Bon, regardez, les deux programmes sont complètement différents. Pour le Québec, c'est un investissement passif qu'il faut faire. Il faut avoir beaucoup d'argent. Il faut prouver un avoir net de $2 millions.
There are two different programs. For the Quebec one, you have to show a lot of money. The amount are $2 million.
$2 millions d'avoir net qu'il faut prouver.
Yeah, you have to show that you have $2 million.
Et investir $1,200,000.
And you have to invest $1 million.
C'est beaucoup.
That's much.
Bon, pour le programme de démarrage d'entreprise ou startup visa,
for the startup visa,
il faut avoir une idée d'affaires.
You have to an eligible business.
Et avoir le soutien d'une des entreprises qui se qualifient.
You have to obtain also a letter of support from a designated organization.
Alors, les deux programmes étant différents, donc je ne pense pas que le programme de démarrage d'entreprise puisse remplacer totalement le programme des investisseurs.
Even if those programs are different, I don't think the startup visa can replace the Quebec one.
Donc le programme de démarrage, le programme de visa pour démarrage d'entreprise, donc ça prend des idées d'affaires et ça prend le parrainage d'une entreprise qui se qualifie.
So this is a program of starter visa needs one eligible business, and you have to obtain a letter of support from a designated organization.
Bon, évidemment, si le quota du Québec est atteint, parce qu'ils ont besoin juste de 1900 dossiers.
Of course, if the quota in Quebec is full,
jusqu'au 15 mars 2019.
because they have to stop when they receive one. C'est combien?
Jusqu'au 15 mars.
1900?
1900 dossiers.
100 dossiers, they stop.
Donc c'est un programme qui privilégie surtout les francophones.
This program is in general for French speakers.
Donc un francophone qui a un niveau de français de B2,
If you have in French a B level,
même si le quota est atteint, il peut toujours déposer son dossier.
even if they have their quota, you have the opportunity to apply till March.
Donc pour moi, les deux programmes ne sont pas interchangeables.
So we cannot replace one of this program.
Donc il serait possible aussi d'envisager d'autres programmes du Manitoba, par exemple, non? Pour les gens d'affaires.
There is also another program for those who want to go in Manitoba.
Merci.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next question, in fact, is very interesting because we have a representation of different regions. So, which countries show the biggest interest for Canada immigrant investor programs? And perhaps you can address what makes them interested in Canada in particular.
Should I?
Yes,
Okay, perfect.
floor is yours
Perfect.
first.
We have a very, very strong interest, mostly from China, Hong Kong, India, Pakistan, Iran, Vietnam. Those are also Philippines, I would say. Those are probably top source countries for Canada as of today. As I've mentioned before, there's a very strong interest, and it has been and it still remains, and some of my colleagues and friends sitting here in this auditorium today who deal with the real estate investments and real estate in Canada. And the strong interest remains in those countries to purchase in Canada, to come to Canada, live, and again, purchase real estate and so on. We experience in Canada very strong interest from these specific countries. In Iran specifically today, we have a bit of an issue. The country's currency devalued almost like 40–50%, I would say, as of today. And lots of people are really, really interested to come to Canada and make Canada their new home. India has been a traditional place where there is huge Punjabi community in Toronto and in Vancouver, and it tremendously feeds the interest for their relatives, their friends who live in India to come and join their friends and relatives who already live in Canada. Same thing goes about China, same thing goes about Hong Kong. Those are the countries I would say as of today.
Thank you for that. Prashant, what about your opinion on that?
Yes, as Victor said, the Canadian program is investment program started in 1986, so it's almost 32 years programs, and the other programs, the provincial program developed over the years. The Chinese community has been the most interested in the program, Quebec investment program, because as you know that this program is managed by the government, so the risk of your capital is very less. or you can say that you can finance it and reduce it. And because of the safety of the program, the interest in the Canadian program has been very much. Also, the Indian communities and other communities, those who are in Middle East, they are also very interested in the investment program. The startup visa programs, as you mentioned, is started off in India, was launched by the government, but now the startup visa program has been used by the people in Middle Eastern communities, also in wherever there is an IT hubs are there in Eastern Europeans. They all have started also showing an interest into this one. But still predominantly the China, Taiwan, Korea, Vietnam remains the most largest number of the immigrants coming to Canada under the investment program.
Thank you for that. Ibrahim, what about you? What are your clients, where are they coming from actually, and what makes them say, what is the trigger point for the Canada programs?
Ok, merci pour la question. La majorité de notre clientèle d'affaires vient du Maghreb, Tunisie, Maroc, Algérie.
The majority of our clients come from Tunisia, Morocco, Algeria.
Donc ça c'est la grande majorité de notre clientèle d'affaires. Nous avons aussi de nombreux clients qui arrivent du Liban.
We have also clients coming from Lebanon.
Donc ça c'est vraiment le bassin de notre clientèle.
This is the majority.
Pour les gens d'affaires. Mais pour répondre à la question générale qui a été posée, le plus grand nombre des gens d'affaires viennent de la Chine. Même au Québec, le plus grand nombre, c'est la Chine.
The majority of investors come from China.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Let us move on to the last question, and then we have some interesting presentations by our panelists. And the last question comes a bit of my field of expertise, of ethics and standards. So some of us may have seen an undercover investigation happened on 20th September this year, and it was carried out by CBC Canada, which unfortunately for the larger industry exposed several practitioners in acting in the wrong manner. And namely, they were advising clients with the wrong advices. What measures, you think, gents, shall be taken in order to prevent further abuse of QAIP, which is a most reputable program in the world, or one of the most reputable programs, and also to prevent further abuse of investment migration in general?
I have seen the video. I have seen that report. There are always people in the industry who may try to achieve some results at the cost of the integrity. It is definitely the obligation of each one of us, especially today when the citizenship by investment industry is experiencing lots of pressure and lots of critiquing coming from major international organizations like European Union Commission and like other places. Even in Canada, we have lots of critiquing of the Quebec Investor Program. There is an opinion, despite the fact that this brings so much resource for Canada that is used for improvements, for job creation and so on. Some people consider that that lots of investors, lots of wealthy individuals who come to the country, they do not actually contribute as much to the country. They live off the savings that they have abroad, so they are not doing much contribution to the country. I disagree, of course. I'm in this industry. The investment programs are critically important today. Let's look at the Caribbean countries like Bermuda today, or St. Kitts, or St. Lucia. Just because of these programs, the countries have been able to dramatically change the economic situation that they recover the financial damages that they have suffered because of hurricanes, some natural disasters, and so on. Those are important revenue sources for this country. Cyprus, Malta, another bunch of examples. However, again, coming back to the question and the root of it, integrity is extremely important. We should definitely not sacrifice it in order to, at the end of the day, deliver the result for the client. Both things are important, but it's got to be done right.
Thank you, very good point. Prashant, the floor is yours.
Immigrations and malpractice or a fraud goes hand in hand. Every program, every country, you look at it, we all are professional here, businessmen, developers here. When it comes to an immigrations, it becomes some of the members of our communities, our fraternities, would like to take an advantage or a shortcut. And that's the part of the game. I don't think that this is for the first time it has happened in Canada when it comes to a residency requirement, because when the wealthy businessman wants to make an investment, they want to treat the investment into that country and keep the permanent residencies or citizenship as a credit card in their pocket. And because of this requirement, a few years back, there was another similar incident in that. In Quebec, it's also happened. This is, you're talking about in Vancouver, it happened. So it is going to happen, and the governments are very, very strict about it. Canadian government will definitely, and RCMP will definitely investigate further, and will make sure that these things doesn't happen. But you know that in this industry, it's going to come up every now and then. It's a part of the industries or an occupational hazard of this industry. Thank you.
Thank you. Ibrahim, what your opinion on that would be, if you could do your opinion on actually on standards and how we can protect industry and Quebec in particular?
Ok, merci pour la question. L'industrie de la consultance en immigration est réglementée au Canada. Donc il y a le Conseil de réglementation des consultants en immigration du Canada, et puis il y a différents barreaux dans différentes provinces.
Consultants in immigration in Canada are accredited.
Bon, il est clair que de temps en temps, il y a des situations pareilles où il y a des gens qui ne se comportent pas bien dans l'industrie. Donc ça réagit sur toute l'industrie, ça c'est sûr.
It can happen that some people will try to abuse.
Donc nous pensons que les ordres professionnels vont toujours continuer à sanctionner les consultants indélicats qui se donnent à des infractions.
Je n'ai pas compris. Touré.
Je dis que l'industrie, le conseil, l'ordre professionnel va continuer à sévir contre les consultants qui se donnent à des pratiques peu orthodoxes. C'est-à-dire des pratiques illégales.
Those illegal practices are prohibited and will be prosecuted.
Voilà, je tiens à dire que tous ceux qui ont besoin des services de consultance en immigration, c'est toujours bien de passer par les personnes réglementées, les avocats et les consultants d'immigration. Au moins, si eux, ils font des choses qui ne sont pas bonnes, ils seront sanctionnés par leur ordre professionnel.
I recommend that those who want to come in Canada legally have to look for lawyers or immigrant consultants who have right to exercise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Quite an intensive piece. So we are actually done with the first part of our panel discussion. Now I would like to pass the floor to Victor, who will be giving a broader presentation on Canada and on his profile, of course, as well. Victor, the floor is yours. Would you like to stand here or there?
Perfect. I like the chair. Canada, okay? We've heard about Cyprus, we've heard about Malta, we've heard about Caribbean, beautiful, sunny waters, nice weather, stuff like that, something we cannot probably provide much in Canada, except for the summer. But it could be humid too, someone may say. So, however, there's so many other things that we can provide and that we can really boast, and we can say, listen, we are the best here and here and here and here. By the quality of life, we are the best for years and decades, okay? And we're sharing the spot maybe with Switzerland, and I consider Canada, I like using that term, as a North American Switzerland, where we have the safe country, safe for children, safe for families. We have one of the greatest educational systems in the world. Our universities are in the top 10 universities of the world. We have the greatest social support system there for those who need it. We have great infrastructure. We have excellent and a top 4 or 5 in the world entrepreneur and business-friendly environment. We have lots of things to offer. Certainly, we have the United States right next to us, the big brother, so-called. The United States is the United States. So everyone knows about the United States from movies, from information. They dominate the media sphere and with the news and everything else. American dream is an American dream, but I want to tell everyone here, certainly, and everyone even outside, we have the same greatest environment and safer than anywhere else, and more friendly for the business that we can provide to people who would like to come and make Canada their new home. We also have the passport that allows us to be in the top, again, 4 or 5 countries that we can use to travel and enter countries across the globe visa-free. The whole set of the most important factors that anyone would consider whether he or she would like to take his or her family anywhere else, make some other place their new home, Canada is definitely in the top, I would say for me, you may consider me biased here, in the top 1 or 2 destinations. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, I hope we don't consider you biased, to be honest. Prashant, what you would like to add to that? What's your opinion on that? In general.
In general?
Yeah. Advertise Canada.
Advertise Canada. Well, advertise Canada. Yes, that's how I started my practice 25 years back. That was the time in India and other places around the world where I was doing the seminar. I had to literally take the map in my hand and show that, you see America here? On top of this land in the yellow, that's Canada. Now, obviously, the clients are well informed. Internet is also another major tool which they are more informed than us, many times. But the Canada United Nations has voted that Canada is the best country in the world to live in for a number of years. Quality of life is there. And certain requirements of the Canada has given a rise to the other program. For example, the residency requirement for which we just talked about, the whole scam happened in Vancouver. If this residency requirement was not there, I can guarantee you all the programs of the world will close down. That's what Canada is offer. The quality of life, it's unparalleled. Still, we have a medical system is free of charge. Education is comparatively very low. The fees are very low. And many of you would be surprised, and many of you are already aware of it. When we looked at the international students in Canada, the 60 to 70% of the international students in Canada are from United States because of the quality of our educations, and also the fees are very, very low. So that's the Canadian program which offers. Also, when it comes to the investment program, the rise of the other program again is because of the close down of the Canadian program. Because the federal government of Canada closed down the Canadian federal program and the Canadian entrepreneur program, and that's why we see the rise of the EB5 and the other program. Because under the Quebec program, since it started in 1986, when the net asset requirement was only $350,000 and now it's $2 million, Not a single person has lost the money because money is managed by the provincial government as a fund. So that's the kind of a safety people have it when it comes to an investment program and also when it comes to the quality of life about the Canada. And even once again, all the program, when it happens in the other part of the world, generally the Canada is the leader in that program. They're talking about the startup program. The Canada was the first country to start the startup program in April 2013. And now many of you know that 7 to 8 countries in the world now offering a startup program. Australia, New Zealand, Spain, Ireland, Portugal, UK, Brazil, lately I've heard about it, and other countries are talking about, because that startup program was very unique program created to a situations, because the startup program, when we look at the startup program, what was happening was that in the 50 years back, 30 years back, the innovation was coming from developed country to the developing countries. But because of the internet, because of the technologies, these innovations and the technologies are developing in developed countries. And this country, particularly Canada and the Western countries, started realizing that which program we can fit into this intelligent people and bring it to our country. And that gave basically a rise to the Canadian government's the startup program, because the startup program person who is the founder of the startup company in India or in Russia or in Brazil or in the Middle East doesn't have money. He is not working for a company, so he cannot come under the skilled worker category. So how do we bring this bright mind to Canada? And that basically gave a rise to the startup program. So the Canada has remained an innovator of this program irrespective of its ups and downs, and it has followed by this one. So the Canada is the country. Probably many of us who are in this room know that people who has migrated to under the business program to these countries, they might have moved somewhere else, but they want their children and a wife and a family to be in Canada, because Canada means a safety of your life, business, and good retirement life. That's what Canada offers. Thank you, guys.
Thank you for quite a historical and advertisable, let's say, overview, which was quite an interesting one. Let us pass the word to Ibrahim. I know it's a bit of a challenge now to say something new, but I'm sure you have something to share.
My colleagues said the best things.
Le Canada, c'est la qualité de vie, le Canada, c'est la sécurité, le Canada, c'est l'éducation, la qualité de l'éducation pour les enfants.
Canada means better life condition, security, better life for children.
Et aussi, c'est un lieu où mener des affaires.
And a good place to do business.
Parce que nous avons une économie très dynamique.
We have a military school.
Très diversifiée aussi.
Diversified.
Et le taux de chômage est très bas. Le taux de chômage est très bas. Et puis, cela permet aux gens de faire des affaires. Donc, on a un pays où il y a la sécurité. On a un pays où la sécurité est très bonne, la qualité de l'air. Donc, ça vaut la peine de vraiment s'installer au Canada.
It's good to come in Canada because we have security.
Voilà. Aussi, le climat d'affaires est très bon.
And the business climate is very
pour les
good.
gens d'affaires. Merci.
Thank you for that. Well,
Thank you.
I think it was quite an extensive panel. Thank you to our panelists. I mean, we should probably say thank you by applauding. Yes. We actually have some time for questions. Are there any questions here by any chance?
Okay, yes. We have a question here.
This is an entrepreneur question.
Ahmed Abbas from Reach Immigration. Thank you for all the info you shared. My question is about the Quebec program. As we've seen, a lot of provinces have fallen under scrutiny with their PNPs, like Manitoba, New Brunswick, and PEI. Do you foresee Quebec also changing from a PR to a temporary work permit, or any drastic changes in the program in the future?
I think,
Yes.
Prashant, do you have an answer?
Actually, the Quebec has already the entrepreneur program. It was closed down in 2013. They revamped it, and in the August 2018, they have come up with the Quebec Entrepreneur Program. The requirement is that you need to have a $900,000 in an assets. The investment requirement is $300,000, and you need to have a deposit or a fixed deposit or a government bond of $200,000. The quota is very limited. It's only up to 60 files among the startup visas and entrepreneur visa. The most important part of that one is that I know in this room there are a lot of francophone. If you are a francophone, then this quota doesn't apply to you whether you are an investor category or an entrepreneur category. And answering your question, sir, yes, under the Quebec program, it is going to be a work permit, business work permit to work in your business, which will eventually comply with, and it will convert into an immigration.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please?
Okay, we still have time for a last question before lunch.
Just next to you.
Yes.
According to the website, the Canadian website which I've come across, it says that a person who's going to start up a business in Canada, they have to first, like for the first 6 months, if the business grows, then they'll be able to apply for immigration. If the business does not grow, will they have to come back to the country that they have migrated from?
So you're talking about the startup visas or entrepreneur visa, ma'am?
The entrepreneur visa.
Entrepreneur visa. Okay, the entrepreneur visa is not a 6 months, but basically now all the provinces, all the 11 programs, they have, except the New Brunswick right now, they have changed their requirement. And what it is the most important aspect is the exploratory trip. You have to take it before you make your formal applications. Website recommends only 5 days, but with our experience, 5 days is not enough. You need to spend more time in Canada, particularly province in which you want to apply, and come up with a strong business plan, whether you want to start a business, whether you want to do a joint venture, or whether you want to purchase an existing business. Once you do that one and have either you do it on your own business plan or take a professional help, but you must have a very extensive business exploratory trip. What do I mean by business exploratory trip? You want to visit the business, the kind of a business you want to do it. You want to find out the rules and regulations which are affecting. You want to also find out and meet the government representative. Also, you want to meet the Chamber of Commerce and the association in your industry. Looking into that one, and you make your business plan, and then if the government is satisfied with your business plan and the net assets, then they will make an initial, give you an invitation that now you make a formal applications with your with your business plan. If the government like it, then they will make a second invitation they give you that now you make an application with the documents and a business plan. In that first 6 months, what you're talking about, answering your questions, in that first 6 months, if you do not do the business, yes, the government may decide to send you back. The idea was that in earlier regime, there was no monitoring under the Canadian entrepreneur programs or Quebec programs or other provincial program, and it was very difficult. And what the government found out basically that people made all kind of promises, but when they come into the Canada, they never done that business, or they even not visited that province. And that's why, apart from the New Brunswick, all the provinces are changing to the regime of that having a business work permit first, and then if you fulfill this requirement and run and manage the business, make an investment, create a 1, 2, or 3, whatever the job is there, then only we will issue a final visa, approval letter. Based on that one, you can obtain a permanent residency. Thank you.
perhaps Victor can add something as well, I think.
I'll just add something else. Again, pertaining, everything has been mentioned, and I agree with everything else. Pertaining to the startup visa, okay, that 6-month requirement would not apply. There would be no requirement, actually, with respect to whether the business is going to work or not. That's important to mention, and whilst I'm promoting this program, and I'm actually saying that this is one of the best, like today, available venues to come to Canada and immigrate to Canada, the startup program, the ministerial instructions, the legislative background for the program already clearly provides and openly mentions, not openly, it clearly mentions that even if the business would not take off the ground, it wouldn't work, you still get to keep your permanent residence status. So I'm just mentioning this just to keep it as for the comparative kind of purposes, to understand that there are some programs out there that would not have this additional requirements on what you have to do, how you have to run your business, how you have to comply later on with additional requirements and so on. But you have received the PR, you keep the PR. Whether the business works, it doesn't work, would not matter anymore. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you for that. I believe we have no more time for questions, but of course all our panelists have stands, so please free to come over to them tomorrow, and they will obviously clarify any questions you may have.
I'll just like to mention about the upcoming program of the IELP. So I know that there is a great interest in the Indian market in this room, and IELP has done one show last year in May. It was quite successful. And again, our law firm is working closely with the IELP to put up another show, which is coming up on 16th and 17th of January in Mumbai. So if you are interested, please look at the websites, and you are all welcome to come to India. And let's educate the Indian professionals and Indian HNIs, and we make the market of India like a China. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you. So now it's time for lunch, so we will have a lunch break for 45 minutes, and I see you back at 2 p.m. and we'll be jumping into the really hot topic of discussion, Cyprus, like the real estate investment destination. Thank you. See you in 45 minutes.